Hi there, and welcome back to the channel. So, I'm super excited because the whole time I've had this Flying V, I built the Flying V, I didn't really feel like I fell in love with it for some reason. I guess because it never played well. I used to have a Duesenberg trim on there, and I couldn't stand that thing. It was like ridiculous, like stupid. Nothing against the trim, it just did not work on this guitar, and I just realized the Flying V does not need a trim, mainly because you can use the body itself to get trim. Like I can go up by kind of pushing on this wing and go down by just pushing right here. So don't need any kind of trim system. It killed the sustain and made the guitar look stupid. So I got rid of that, upgraded all the electronics, got these Godot pickups. I had another thing occur recently with the guitar that changed everything for me, and that was I originally had it wired as a vintage wiring style, the Flying V vintage style. And I got the idea from looking at Baja Tone Works, which I highly recommend them as a YouTube page. It's really awesome. He takes these, makes these videos where he shows you how to wire your guitar up, and he does it like one step at a time. He shows each step, and it's pretty easy if you can at least solder and follow instructions. I have trouble with both, but I can pull it off, so I'm pretty sure everyone out there can do it if I can do it. But I had wired the whole thing vintage style, thinking that that's what I wanted to do, because that 50s vintage style had really worked well for my Les Paul Custom, and I had had that wired 50s wiring and just loved it. The vintage wiring, it made it sound extra high end. It gave it a little extra sparkle that had not been there before. The pickups had been kind of boring sounding the way they had it wired from the factory, and the pots were old. Tolerances had slipped because it's an 86 Les Paul Custom, and so I ended up loving the way that 50s wiring sounded. It really made it sound great, and so I wanted to do that here, just replicate my success. And so I did it, but the entire time I've had the guitar, I had no control over the bridge pickup, which I couldn't understand. I was like, which one is the volume, which one's the tone, even though I built it. Kind of dumb sometimes. And I realized these two are volume, this is the master tone for both pickups. Now, I could roll this one off and make this one get quiet, but this one was just always wide open with no control from the volume. I was like, what in the world? And I know that with vintage wiring, there's more interaction between the tone control and the volume pots. They all kind of sort of interact and affect each other in a much more noticeable way than with modern wiring, because I believe with modern wiring the cap goes after the signal, and in the case of vintage the cap comes first. So that's the difference. And for whatever reason, when you roll off with vintage wiring, I guess because of the placement of the cap in the circuit, it doesn't roll off your treble the way it does when you roll off tone or roll volume off on a Les Paul. It gets woolly as you roll down. Well, with the modern thing, it's kind of like having a treble, what do you call it, a treble boost. You get that extra bit of high end that I was missing. So I thought maybe that because of the interaction of this, and it was only only one tone knob or something, I don't know what I thought, but I was like, well, maybe that's why this wiring doesn't work. So I started thinking, you know what, I'm going to just pop the pick guard off and check and see if maybe I should just rewire it modern, and maybe that would work more to my liking. So I looked up the thread on that, and went to the YouTube video of Baja Tone Works, and I was prepared to do it. And it's just a matter of moving the leg over a couple places, and changing from the middle lug to the right lug, and I can't remember what order. It's like 1, 2, 3 lugs, but it's from the middle to the right side when the pot's upside down. And so I was going to do that, thinking that might help. And when I looked down on the guitar, I just happened to notice the bridge pickup, the hot wire, the ground wire was fine, but the hot wire was literally just hanging loose. And I looked down, there was a blob of solder on the pot, but it wasn't connected to the terminal. So I was like, yeah, you got to be kidding me. So a humbucker will work as long as at least the ground side is connected to a pot, or to a ground, but you won't be able to control the volume, obviously, if your hot leg is, misplaced. So when I got that back on, boom, now everything works beautifully. And I love this 50s wiring with this Flying V. This thing sounds really good. I had it at home, and I was plugging in my Les Paul Custom to my Fender Deluxe, because I have that sitting at home right now. And I played the Les Paul Custom, and it sounded amazing. And then I got this guitar as close to the sound of that as possible, because this is basically my live replacement for the Custom, unless I'm playing a special show where I can control the guitar. But like going to clubs or house parties or something with that guitar has become untenable for me. The guitar is worth like $7,000 now or whatever. I've looked it up, and the white ones, they're just worth a lot of money. All those old Customs are, and this is an '86. It's got Tim Shaw pickups in it. There's no headstock destruction. There's no cracks or any of that kind of stuff. It's like in really good condition. Plays amazingly well. I mean, it just plays incredibly well. But it's ultimately going to need a refret if I keep playing the heck out of it like I've been doing for the past 20 years. And it's it's got fret nibs and all that. And I'm always worried about the headstock breaking. And then I read that Jimmy Page, his favorite guitar, which was a black 3-pickup Les Paul Custom, he hardly ever played that thing out for the same reason. So if a super rich guy like that's worried about it, I'm definitely worried about it too. It'd just be a tragedy to hurt that thing. I just love that thing so much. So this is what I kind of decided to be its replacement, this BYOG Flying V. And the other problem I was having with this guitar, many problems with this guitar. This is the first guitar I ever worked on. It was a kit guitar. It's just a crazy idea to try to do it. And I was thinking in my mind, oh, it's only like $200 or whatever. I'll have a guitar done. And it costs a lot more than that. I had to buy the stain. I ended up upgrading everything on it because the electronics were complete garbage. Everything that went on the guitar besides the wood was junk. I mean, just pure junk. And that's usually the case with the kit guitar. So I replaced the tuning machines with all-part Gotos. They're actually Goto, but sold by All Parts. This is a Tone Pros locking bridge and stop tailpiece. And then I've got these Gadow pickups, which are hand-wound in North Carolina by Gadow himself. Those sound terrific. CTS pots, orange drop cap, and I've got this little kill switch that makes it sound like, cool little sound like that Buckethead thing, like that machine gun thing. And man, I love his guitar, that Buckethead white Les Paul. That looks so good. But anyway, it was playing really badly. There was something off up here. The nut, when I put it on, I didn't know what I was doing. And I put on like 3 different nuts, and I finally got this one kind of working. And I think it's actually pretty good. It looks terrible because there was something went wrong with this guitar when they made it. Lots of problems. I think it also was routed incorrectly. It needed to be back a little bit. But anyway, I put this nut on there, and it's working, so I can always redo the nut when I get even more experience. I'm getting closer to being able to do nuts a lot better than I was when I first started. And then the action on this is all screwball. The neck was all whacked out, because I was trying to make it play right. I couldn't get the action low enough, and I like high action. I play all my guitars like slightly high, but I couldn't get this thing down to make it make sense. So, and I usually play 1152s. That's my favorite sounding string. I just like the way it sounds. You get more tone and whatever, and that's what I do on my Strats. And so I was wanting to do that here, but man, oh man, was it stiff. And I tried 10s, and they were still stiff, and I was missing the tone that I was getting from the 11s. I even tried 9s, and those felt really, they felt really good, actually. The guitar felt great with 9s. I just was missing, some of the sounds that I get from these heavier gauge strings. There's just a certain thing that happens, especially the high strings, that I just miss when I go lower gauge. This is how I am. But I was on a Strat forum. I'm always on Strat forums trying to learn as much as I can about how these things work and, things, little tricks and whatever. And so I'm reading along, and they start talking about Gibson guitars and stop tail pieces and wraparound bridges and blah, blah, blah. And so a guy comes on who says he was a Gibson authorized, service guy. He obviously knew his stuff. You could tell from, looking at the forum long enough, I can tell he's an educated guy about guitars and obviously had a lot of experience because he has answers, like real usable stuff. And so he says, hey, the way these guitars are really designed, top wrap works the best, you know, where you go over the top of the bridge. And I had tried that once on my custom back when I was using 10s, and I had and my bridge is pretty much collapsed, so the action got lower and lower over the years. And so it had really low action 10s, and I tried the top wrap after I heard about it from my friend James, who played in Dynamite for a while. And he told me, you know, yeah, you can try that top wrap. It's just another way. It creates less of a break angle so that it maybe loosen up the strings a little bit. And so I did that on the Les Paul, but like I said, I had that collapsed bridge, really low action. I think I was using 10s. So I just felt like I was not getting the usual resistance I was used to. So I decided to forego that and go back to the you know, more extreme break angle on the Les Paul. Recently, I put 11s on the Les Paul, and for the first time, that guitar feels kind of stiff. So I'm probably going to go try it now on the Les Paul the next time I change the strings, which will be a while because I don't play it that much anymore, and I put NYXLs on it. But I am now a convert to this because it has really made, and it's basically the only change I've made, was the top wrap. It's made it much, much more playable. I really can't describe the difference, except that it just gives it actually made it playable. On the Les Paul, it made it super slinky, and I could really feel a difference between that and the non-top wrap. With this, the guitar was like so stiff before, and now it's still stiff because I don't think this guitar likes heavy strings as much. It would probably do better with 9s or 10s. But because I'm kind of stuck on it, it is now much more playable. Like I can do stuff on it that I do on my Strat. Obviously, I don't usually play in the exact same way on this guitar as I do on my Strat. My Strat I'm using to try to learn the language of, you know, blues music and just the whole Strat thing, which like makes me play completely differently. I never even knew I would ever want to play like that, or I can't even just, it like took me over. This thing possessed me. So I just have to do what it says, right? But on this guitar, I play a little differently, but every once in a while, I still want to do some of that kind of stuff, you know, like the Stratty kind of Hendrixy stuff. And Hendrix's other guitar choice, who's my ultimate, you know, guitar god hero, his other guitar choice was the V. He didn't play it that much. I don't know if he liked it that much, but it's a showman's guitar, and it's just got an addictive quality to it. I don't know what it is about it. It's just so fun. And mine's really light. I don't have any light guitars. It's the only light one I have. It's a pound less than this one, and it's 2 pounds less than the Les Paul. This one's like 8 something. My Les Paul's almost 10. It's like right at 10. And this is like 7 point something. So this is like the lightest guitar I have. And it feels so much more playable. And I think this top wrap actually looks cool. Now, I have a question for those out there that are more experienced with this top wrap business. With the conventional way, you know, you have your string ends back here and you have nothing on top of the bridge. You don't have the strings, so the bridge feels nice and smooth. And when I was a Les Paul exclusive player, Gibson exclusive player, I always had my hand planted like this. And I was mainly like I was up here all the time on the low stuff, you know, just playing like rhythm chunk. Because we have this amazing guitar player, and it's like I didn't even really want to play guitar around him. He's mess things up and make it sound terrible. So I wasn't really playing that much guitar. I was more like a rhythm strummer, you know, like a guitar holder instead of a guitar player. But now, you know, I want to play a lot more, and I used to set my hand right here, and people talk about these string ends bothering you, or like the strings right here bothering you. And so they do something where they add another ball end from an old set of strings, I guess, or maybe I'm confused as to what all occurs. Hopefully somebody can clarify for me because I'm pretty dumb. But when you go, you know, with the top wrap, you're going to go under and then bring the string over so that it goes over the top of the bridge. Well, they add like an extra string in, like an extra ball for comfort purposes, and I'm not sure why. Maybe it makes it where the part of the string winding isn't over there. Mine isn't. I don't know why exactly, but I don't have any string winding, just the actual string itself, and maybe that's all it is that feels uncomfortable to the hand. It feels kind of uncomfortable right now. Maybe it feels better if you have an extra set of ball ends right here. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out what it is why you have to do that, because I did not do that. I just ran the string through, because I read somebody else say that if you do that, you have a tendency to get them stuck from time to time or lose them when you're trying to do it. It seemed like it added an extra step that I don't really want to do. I don't want to add extra bits in there for no reason if I can get around it. Not saying that there's no reason, because I bet somebody out there uses it does it that way and insists upon it. So I don't want to, since I don't know, I don't want to have a major opinion about it, just that I did not do it that way. But the guitar plays and sounds so much better. Let me just show you that I can play something on it that would have been nearly impossible before. Perfectly, obviously, but before this change, I wouldn't have been able to pull that off, and I can actually roll my volume off now, or you can just hold this down and go dead quiet too. I found it really annoying when I was not able to figure out how to work the tone controls and the wiring and all that, but I believe that is a major So anyway, I'm stoked. The top wrap thing is cool. The guitar is wired properly, and it finally rips and roars like I wanted it to. So I'm going to call this guitar a success, and I'm really excited because that many times I've written it off completely, thinking this cheap and junk and all that. But the wood actually sounds good. It looks great, and now it's finally playing well, and I've learned a lot. So don't ever not try to build a guitar if you're thinking about it and you're worried that it'll be a waste of time or whatever. You might not make the best guitar your first time, but you'll continue to learn, and you'll be able to return to it and make it better and better over time. It's not like you have to do it in this short period of time and it's a fail. The wood's still there. You can go back and work on it again. All right, top wrap next time.